Hey guys, Elijah Bedrosian, a licensed professional counselor out here in Arizona. Topic of today's video is if no trauma, then no excuse. Striking at the idea that sometimes when somebody is struggling with something, whether it be a compulsive behavior, whether it be an addiction, they oftentimes go looking for the reason or the trauma in their history that explains why they're having struggles today. And if you don't find that trauma or that thing or that smoking gun, then sometimes there is a guilt about, man, how am I struggling so much when I didn't even have a trauma or traumas? I came from a really good home, I was protected, roof over my head, etc. And so I want to move the dialogue, the conversation away from where is the trauma to what were my experiences. So looking at things such as, when I grew up, how present was love and nurture? How present was violence in my household, outside of my household? How stable or consistent were caregivers for me? Was the presence of positive physical touch, was that there? Was it not there? What was modeled for me as far as relationships are concerned? All those things make a huge difference as far as the way we grow up, what we're now calling trauma. And I also want to just clarify, trauma is really, it's just an experience. Sometimes I think there's a lot of stigma around trauma or being traumatized. My sense is that, if we are gifted with a long enough life, each of us will go through something that could be considered a trauma experience, right? Based on what your definition of trauma is. And so I think the question becomes, so how do we heal from that? How do we grow from that? And I think for sure, one of the things is addressing it, talking about it. Obviously, as a therapist, I'm a believer in the therapeutic process. I don't, however, believe that it has to be only in the therapy room that healing takes place. I'm a big believer in friends, family, community, as far as being a healing element, a healing force. And I think in the same way that much healing can happen in the therapy office, I also believe that healing happens outside of the therapy office in community or with trusted, safe people. So now let's just go back to the idea of, man, even if you didn't have a trauma to sort of quote unquote justify why you're struggling, that's okay. Let's stop looking for justifications for why you're struggling. Even if you had no trauma, no difficult times, no stressful things, which that I would have a hard time believing, but still people struggle with all kinds of different things in their lives, and that's okay. And can we dialogue about it? Can we process that? Can we figure out where it may have come from? What are some solutions? And just maybe different ways of thinking about what has happened to us. So again, not about looking for a justification, I don't think, as far as when we're struggling with something. It's helpful to look at our whole life stories, all of our experiences, all the gradations of the things that we have been through, and that helps us to better understand ourselves, not to sort of go back and fix this one thing that happened to us and then we're all better, now we're not struggling with what we're struggling. It doesn't work like that. So again, just trying to put in a little different spin on how we're talking about what we're considering trauma.